Captain Deho sat in his chair on the bridge of the ship called Persistence. He was drinking coffee from a blue mug that had "World's Best Dad" written on it. His daughter had given it to him before he left Earth 6 months ago. The coffee was getting cold, but he did not mind. Space coffee always tasted a bit strange anyway. "Jump complete, Captain," said the navigation officer, a young woman named Jiwoo. She had short black hair and always wore lucky red socks. "We are now in Sector 77 Alpha." Deho nodded and looked out the big window at the front of the bridge. Space looked the same as always. Black with tiny white dots that were stars very far away. "Good work, Jiwoo. How are our sister ships doing?" "The research vessel." "Morning Star is doing fine," Jiwoo said, checking her screens. "The supply ship, Gentle Breeze, is also okay. Both ships made the jump with no problems." Bora, the chief science officer, was already busy at her station. She had glasses that were always a bit crooked and hair that never stayed in place. She loved her work more than anything else. "Captain, I am getting some very interesting readings," she said without looking up from her computer. "What kind of readings?" Deho asked. He was used to Bora finding everything interesting. Last week she had spent 3 hours excited about space dust. "There are some very large metal objects nearby," Bora said. Her voice was getting more excited. "The computer says they are ships, but they are much bigger than anything in our files. The biggest one is almost as big as a small moon." Taman, the chief engineer, looked up from his tablet. He was a quiet man who liked to fix things. "That is very big," he said. "Are they moving?" "Yes, they are moving," Bora said. "And Captain, there are a lot of them, maybe 50 or 60 ships." Hyejin, who handled all the talking with other ships, suddenly sat up straight in her chair. She had been listening to the radio channels. "Captain, someone is trying to talk to us. They sound angry." "Put them on the main speakers," Deho said. He finished his cold coffee and put the mug down. A deep voice filled the bridge. The voice sounded like it belonged to something very large and very unhappy. The words were in a language none of them knew, but their computer was trying to translate. The translation was not very good, but they could understand the basic idea. "Unknown ships. You have entered forbidden space. This is the Valyrian Empire Navy. You will stop your ships now. You will surrender or we will destroy you." Deho blinked. He looked around the bridge at his crew. They all looked as confused as he felt. "Did they say Empire?" he asked. "Yes, Captain," Hyejin said. She was checking the translation computer. "The Valyrian Empire. I have never heard of them." "Neither have I," Deho said. He looked at Bora. "Are you sure those are ships out there?" Bora was now very excited. She was typing very fast on her computer. "Oh yes, Captain. They are definitely ships. And they have some very interesting technology. Their engines are using controlled fusion, but in a way I have never seen before. The energy readings are quite impressive for such old technology." The angry voice came through the speakers again. "Unknown ships. You have 10 Earth minutes to surrender. Prepare to be boarded. Lower your shields and turn off your weapons." Taman scratched his head. "We do not have shields," he said, "and our only weapons are the mining lasers." "Should I tell them that?" Hyejin asked. "Sure," Deho said. He was getting curious about these ships. "Also ask them if this is their space. Our maps show this area as empty." Hyejin pressed some buttons and spoke into her microphone. "Hello? Unknown ships. This is the Earthship Persistence. We did not know this space belonged to anyone. Our maps show it as empty. We are just passing through on a survey mission. Also, we do not have shields or weapons. Can you please tell us where we are?" There was silence for a moment. Then the angry voice came back, but now it sounded confused too. "You are from Earth? What is Earth? You claim to have no weapons? This is impossible. All ships have weapons." Bora looked up from her computer. "Captain, this is very interesting. I am reading their ship designs and they are very old-fashioned. They are using technology that we stopped using about 100 years ago." "How old-fashioned?" Deho asked. "Well," Bora said, "they are still using metal hulls with simple armor plating. Their computers seem to be about as smart as the ones we used to put in cars, and their faster-than-light drive is very basic. It must take them months to travel between star systems. The voice came through the speakers again. Unknown ships, you will come with us to our base. Our admiral will decide what to do with you. If you try to run, we will shoot you. Deho looked at his crew. What do you think? Should we go with them? It might be interesting, Bora said. I would love to study their technology, and maybe we can learn about this empire they mentioned. I am curious too, Taemin said. Their ships look very well built, even if they are old-fashioned. It could be a good chance to make new friends, Hyojin added. Deho nodded. Okay, we will go with them. But first, let me check something. He pressed a button on his chair. This is Captain Deho to all ships in our small fleet. We have encountered some local inhabitants. They seem friendly, but they want us to come with them to their base. Are you all okay with that? The captain of the Morning Star, a woman named Yunji, replied first. Sounds interesting, Captain. My science team is very excited about meeting aliens. The captain of the Gentle Breeze, an old man named Kyung-ho, was also happy. No problems. Here, Captain. We have plenty of supplies if we need to stay for a while. Good, Deho said. He looked at Hyojin. Tell them we will follow their ships to their base, but ask if we can take some scans on the way. For science. Hyojin spoke into her microphone. Hello again, Valerian Empire ships. We agree to come with you. Can we please take some scientific readings while we travel? We are very interested in your technology. There was another long silence. When the voice came back, it sounded even more confused. You want to study our technology? You are not afraid? Why should we be afraid? Hyojin asked. You seem like nice people. Are you dangerous? The silence this time was very long. Finally, the voice said, Follow the lead ship. Do not try anything strange. As their 3 ships began to move with the alien fleet, Bo-Ra was busy taking readings. Captain, this is amazing, she said. Look at this data. Their lead ship has over 1 million people on it. It is like a flying city. 1 million people on one ship? Deho said. That seems like a lot. Why would they put so many people on one ship? I think it might be their way of showing how powerful they are, Taemin said. But it seems very inefficient. Think of how much food they must need. And think of the waste management, Hyojin added, making a face. Bo-Ra was still excited about the readings. Captain, I am also detecting some very interesting materials in their ship hulls. Some of these metals are very rare. We should ask if we can trade for some samples. Trade for what? Deho asked. Well, we have lots of things they might want, Bo-Ra said. Our fusion reactors are much more efficient than theirs. Our computers are about 1,000 times faster. Oh, and our medical equipment could probably cure diseases they think are impossible to treat. As they traveled toward the alien base, Deho began to realize that this might be more complicated than he had thought. The aliens seemed to think they were very powerful and important. But from what Bo-Ra was telling him, human technology was much more advanced. This could be either very interesting or very awkward. He picked up his empty coffee mug and looked at it. World's best dad, it said. He smiled. His daughter would love to hear about this adventure. He hoped these Valerian Empire people were as friendly as they seemed, even if they did have a strange way of introducing themselves. Deho was eating lunch in the ship's small cafeteria when the alarms started going off. Not danger alarms, just the ones that meant something big was happening outside. He looked out the window and almost choked on his sandwich. A ship was arriving that made all the other big ships look like toys. It was dark gray and covered in spikes and scary decorations. It was so big that it blocked out the stars behind it. Lightning seemed to dance around its edges, and space itself looked twisted near the ship. That is quite a ship, Bo-Ra said, sitting down across from him with her lunch tray. She seemed more interested than frightened. The power readings are amazing. It must take enormous amounts of energy to make space bend like that. Is it dangerous? Deho asked. Not to us, Bo-Ra said, taking a bite of her apple. Our hull can handle much worse than their weapons. but it is definitely designed to scare people. All those spikes and lightning effects are just for show. Tae-min came running into the cafeteria. Captain, you need to see this. The aliens are going crazy out there. All their ships are lining up in perfect rows. Their soldiers are marching around in formation. It is like they are getting ready for the most important day of their lives. Maybe it is someone important, Daeho said. A few minutes later, Ye-jin's voice came through the ship's speakers. Captain, please come to the bridge. The aliens want to talk to us again. They sound very formal this time. Daeho finished his sandwich and walked to the bridge. Bora came with him, still eating her apple. When they arrived, the main screen was showing the most elaborate alien they had seen yet. This alien was tall and wore robes covered in gold and jewels. He had a crown that seemed to be made of twisted metal and glowing stones. Behind him stood dozens of other aliens, all dressed in fancy uniforms. The aliens' 4 eyes glowed with inner light. I am Emperor Zolvanthos, the alien said in a voice that seemed to shake the air itself. I am the ruler of the Valerian Empire. I command 10,000 star systems. My fleets have conquered entire sectors of the galaxy. Civilizations tremble at the mention of my name. Hello, Emperor, Daeho said politely. I am Captain Daeho. Nice to meet you. The Emperor stared at him. Clearly, he had expected a different reaction. Do you understand who I am? You are the Emperor of the Valerian Empire, Daeho said. That sounds like a big job. Do you enjoy it? Enjoy it? The Emperor seemed confused by the question. I am the most powerful being in the galaxy. I do not think about enjoyment. That sounds lonely, Bora said, finishing her apple. Power is not very useful if you cannot enjoy it. The Emperor looked at her. You are not afraid of me? Why would we be afraid? Bora asked. You have not threatened us. You seem like a reasonable person. Your ship is quite impressive, by the way. How long did it take to build? 200 years, the Emperor said proudly. It is the most powerful warship ever created. It can destroy entire planets. Wow, Taemin said, joining the conversation. 200 years? That is a very long time. We could probably build something similar in about 6 months. The Emperor's glowing eyes grew brighter. 6 months? Impossible. Well, maybe 8 months if we wanted to add all the decorative lightning, Taemin said thoughtfully. The lightning effects are very nice, but they must use a lot of power. You think you could build a ship like mine? The Emperor asked. Sure, Taemin said. Actually, it would be easier to build than your regular ships. Big ships are simpler than small ships, more room for equipment. Bora was looking at her readings again. Speaking of equipment, Emperor, your ship seems to use artificial gravity generators. Those are very old technology. Would you like to see how we make gravity? You have mastered gravity control? The Emperor asked quietly. Oh, we do not control gravity, Bora said. We just fold space-time directly. It is much more efficient. Watch this. She pressed some buttons on her computer. Outside the window, space around their small ship began to bend and twist. The huge alien base, which had seemed fixed in place, suddenly looked like it was moving in slow circles around the human ships. We are not actually moving, Bora explained. We are just bending space so it looks like we are moving. It is the same principle we use for faster-than-light travel, just smaller. The Emperor was very quiet for a long moment. You can manipulate space-time itself? It is not that hard once you understand the math, Bora said. We learned how to do it about 40 years ago. A scientist named Dr. Park figured it out. Very smart woman. One person discovered this technology? Well, she had a good team, Bora said. About 30 people worked on the project. It took them 3 years. At that moment, Dr. So Young came onto the bridge carrying a tray of medical instruments. Oh, hello, Emperor, she said cheerfully. I was wondering if I could ask you some questions about alien biology. Do your people get sick often? The Emperor stared at her. You want to study our biology? Oh yes, very much, So Young said. I am particularly interested in how your four eyes work. Do you see different colors than humans do? And that glowing effect is fascinating. Is it biological or technological? It is the power of the Empire, the Emperor said, but he sounded less sure than before. Interesting, So Young said, making notes on her tablet. So it is technological. Some kind of implant, maybe? We have similar technology for treating eye diseases. Very useful for people who lose their sight in accidents. The Emperor looked around at his advisors. They were all whispering to each other and looking very worried. You have medical technology that can restore sight? Oh yes, So Young said. We can regrow entire organs if we need to. Eyes, hearts, livers, whatever. Takes about a week in the medical tank. Very routine. You can regrow organs? Sure. We have been doing that for about 70 years. Before that, people had to wait for organ donors. Very inconvenient. The Emperor was quiet for a very long time. Finally, he said, How many people live in your empire? We are not an empire, Deho said. We are just humans from Earth. There are about 8 billion of us on Earth and maybe 2 billion more in the colonies. 10 billion people with this technology? Well, not everyone needs organ replacement, So Young said. Most people live to be about 150 years old without needing major medical work. Very healthy species, humans. 150 years? Some people live longer, So Young said. My grandmother is 203 years old. Still very active, she runs a small farm on Mars. The Emperor looked like he was having trouble breathing. Your grandmother lives on Mars? Oh yes. Mars is very nice now. We terraformed it about 80 years ago. Good soil, nice weather. Perfect for farming. You terraformed Mars? It was not that hard, Bo-Ra said. Just took about 20 years to get the atmosphere right. We have terraformed about 30 planets now. Always looking for more, though. Humans love to farm. The Emperor turned to his advisors and began speaking in their language very quickly. Even through the translation computer, Deho could tell that the conversation was not going well. The advisors kept pointing at the human ships and making worried gestures. Finally, the Emperor turned back to the screen. I need to discuss this with my government. Please wait here. The screen turned off again. He seemed upset, So Young said. I hope I did not say something wrong. I just wanted to learn about alien biology. I think he might be realizing something, Deho said thoughtfully. Realizing what? Taman asked. That maybe his empire is not as powerful as he thought. Deho said. Think about it from his point of view. He rules 10,000 star systems, but it took him 1,000 years to build his empire. We have 10 billion people and much better technology, and we are not even trying to build an empire. Should we be worried? Heejin asked. Deho looked out the window at the enormous alien fleet surrounding them. I do not think so. They seem like good people. Just a bit surprised to meet us. Bo-Ra was still taking readings. Captain, more ships are arriving. Very big ones. I think they are bringing the entire Valerian government here. More people to meet, Deho said. I hope we brought enough coffee. The alien base was bigger than anything Deho had ever seen. It looked like someone had taken a small planet and covered it with metal buildings and landing pads. Ships were flying around it like busy insects around a flower. Some of the ships were so big they had their own gravity fields. This is very impressive, Bo-Ra said, still taking readings with her instruments. Captain, this base has about 50 million people living on it. It is like a whole country floating in space. 50 million? Deho said. Why do they need so many people in one place? Maybe they like being together, Hiejin suggested. Some species are very social. Their 3 ships landed on a platform that was larger than most airports on Earth. As soon as they landed, hundreds of alien soldiers surrounded them. The soldiers wore heavy armor and carried large weapons. They looked very serious and very scary. They seem a bit nervous, Taman said, looking out the window. Should we be worried? Jiwoo asked. Deho thought about it. I do not think so. If they wanted to hurt us, they would not have brought us to their base. They would have just shot us in space. A few minutes later, the main screen on the bridge turned on. An alien face appeared on it. The alien looked like a tall human, but with blue skin and 4 eyes. She wore fancy clothes covered in medals and symbols. "I am Ambassador Velthari of the Valerian Empire," the alien said. Her voice was deep and serious. "I am here to speak for Emperor Zolvanthos, ruler of 10,000 star systems and commander of fleets that span the galaxy." "Nice to meet you," Deho said. "I am Captain Deho from Earth. These are my officers." The ambassador seemed surprised that he was not. More impressed. "You are the leader of these ships?" "Yes, I am the captain of this small exploration fleet." "Small fleet?" The ambassador looked confused. "How many ships do you command?" "Just these 3 ships," Deho said. "The Persistence, the Morning Star, and the Gentle Breeze. We are on a survey mission." The ambassador stared at him. "3 ships? You entered our space with only 3 ships?" "We did not know it was your space," Deho said. "Our maps showed it as empty. We are sorry if we caused any trouble." Ambassador Velthari seemed to be having trouble understanding the situation. "Do you not know who we are? The Valerian Empire has conquered hundreds of species. Our fleets have destroyed entire civilizations. We are the most powerful force in this galaxy." "That sounds very impressive," Deho said politely. "How long did it take you to build such a big empire?" "Over 1,000 years, the ambassador said proudly. Bora looked up from her computer. "Captain, may I ask the ambassador a question?" "Of course," Deho said. Bora looked at the screen. "Ambassador Velthari, your ships use controlled fusion for power, correct?" "Yes," the ambassador said, looking confused about why this mattered. "That is very interesting," Bora said. "We used that technology too, but we stopped using it about 60 years ago. We found better ways to make power. Would you like to see our antimatter reactors?" The ambassador blinked all 4 of her eyes. "Antimatter? You harness antimatter for power?" "Oh yes," Bora said cheerfully. "It is much cleaner and more efficient than fusion. Each of our ships has 3 antimatter reactors. They are quite small, about the size of a refrigerator." Ambassador Velthari was quiet for a long moment. "You said your empire has only 3 ships?" "We are not an empire," Deho said. "We are just an exploration fleet from Earth. Earth is one planet in the Sol system." "One planet controls antimatter technology?" "Well, not just Earth," Bora said. "All the human colonies use antimatter. There are about 800 human colonies. Now, most of them are farming worlds or research stations." The ambassador looked like she was getting a headache. 800 colonies from one planet? At that moment, Dr. So Young walked onto the bridge. She was the ship's doctor and also studied alien life forms. She was carrying a medical scanner and looked very excited. "Oh, hello," she said, seeing the alien on the screen. "Are you from this empire? This is wonderful. I have never studied your species before. Have you encountered any interesting diseases in your travels? I am very interested in alien bacteria." Ambassador Velthari stared at her. "You want to study our diseases?" "Oh yes," So Young said happily. "Disease is how we learn about biology. On Earth we have cataloged about 40 million different types of bacteria. Most of them are helpful. Some make medicine, some clean water, some help plants grow. How many types have you found?" I do not know," the ambassador said. "That is okay," So Young said. "We can share our database if you want. We have bacteria that can eat almost anything. Very useful for recycling old spaceships." Bora nodded. "Speaking of spaceships, Ambassador, how do you travel between star systems? Your faster-than-light drives look like they use a lot of energy." "Our drives are the most advanced in the known galaxy," the ambassador said, but she did not sound as confident as before. "They are very well built," Bora said kindly, "but they must take a long time to charge between jumps. Our drives can jump continuously. We came here from Earth in about 6 days. 6 days." The ambassador's voice was getting higher. "Earth to here is over 2,000 light years." "Yes, that sounds about right," Bora said, checking her navigation computer. It is a nice trip, very smooth. Daiho noticed that the ambassador was looking more and more confused. Is everything okay, Ambassador? How many people live on Earth? She asked quietly. About 8 billion, Daiho said. It is getting a bit crowded. That is why we are exploring out here. We are looking for nice places to build new colonies. 8 billion people on one planet? Yes, but it is not as bad as it sounds, Yijin said. Most people live in the big cities. The countryside is still very pretty. And all these people have access to antimatter technology? The ambassador asked. Not everyone needs it, Taemin said. Most people just use fusion for their homes and cars. Antimatter is mainly for spaceships and big factories. The ambassador was quiet for a very long time. Finally, she said, I need to speak with my superiors. Please wait here. The screen turned off. She seemed nice, So Young said. A bit nervous, though. I hope she is not worried about diseases. Human diseases cannot hurt aliens. Our biology is too different. I think she might be worried about something else, Daiho said thoughtfully. Bora was still taking readings. Captain, I am detecting more ships arriving at the base, big ones. I think they might be bringing important people. More people to meet, Hyejin said happily. This is turning into quite an adventure. Daiho looked out the window at the huge alien base. Somewhere out there he realized some very powerful aliens were probably having a very difficult conversation about 3 small human ships that had wandered into their space by accident. He hoped they could work everything out. The aliens seemed like interesting people, even if they were a bit dramatic about introducing themselves. And Bora was right. Their technology might be old, but it was very well built. Maybe humans and the Valyrian Empire could be friends. Jiwoo, send a message to Earth, he said. Let them know we have made contact with a local government. Tell them the locals seem friendly but surprised to meet us. Should I mention that? They have an empire? Jiwoo asked. Daiho thought about it. Sure. The diplomatic corps might find that interesting. 3 days later, Daiho was in the ship's small garden when the final meeting was called. The garden was his favorite place on the ship, a tiny room with real plants and a window that looked out at the stars. He was watering the tomatoes when Hyejin's voice came through the speakers. Captain Emperor Zolvanthos wants to speak with us again. He sounds very serious. Daiho finished watering the plants and walked to the bridge. Through the main window he could see that even more alien ships had arrived. The space around the base was now crowded with vessels of every size and shape. It looked like the entire Valyrian Empire had come to see the humans. That is a lot of ships, Jiwoo said, counting them on her scanner. I think there are over 10,000 ships out there now. They really like meetings, Taemin said. On Earth we would just use video calls for something this big. The main screen turned on, showing Emperor Zolvanthos again. But he looked different now. The fancy robes were gone, replaced by simple clothes. The glowing crown was nowhere to be seen. He looked tired and worried. Captain Daiho, the Emperor said quietly, I need to ask you some questions. Important questions. Of course, Emperor, Daiho said. How can we help? My advisors have been studying your technology and your claims about human capabilities. They tell me things that I find hard to believe. What kind of things? Daiho asked. They tell me that your small ships could destroy my entire fleet without taking any damage. Daiho looked surprised. Why would we want to do that? We like your fleet. It is very impressive. But could you do it? The Emperor pressed. Daiho looked uncomfortable. Emperor, we do not like to talk about hurting people, but if you really want to know, yes, probably. Our shields are much stronger than your weapons, and our engines are much faster than your ships. My advisors also tell me that your colonial fleet of 1,200 ships could conquer my entire empire in a matter of weeks. Conquer? Daiho looked confused. Why would they want to conquer anything? They are farmers and scientists and engineers. They just want to build colonies and study interesting planets. But they could conquer us if they wanted to? Daiho sighed. Emperor, I really do not like this conversation. But yes, they could. Human technology is much more advanced than yours. But humans do not conquer people. We make friends with people. Emperor Zolvanthos was quiet for a long moment. What do humans want from us? Nothing, Deho said. We do not want anything from you. We just want to explore this region of space, and maybe build some colonies on empty planets. If you want to be friends, that would be nice. If not, we will stay out of your way. You want nothing from the mighty Valerian Empire? Well, Bora said, joining the conversation, I would love to study your technology. It is very different from ours, and maybe we could share some of our medical knowledge. Dr. So Young says your people could probably live much longer with better medicine. You would share your technology with us? The Emperor asked. For free? Why not? Bora said. Knowledge should be shared. The more people who understand science, the better off everyone is. Dr. So Young came onto the bridge carrying a medical tablet. Emperor, I have been thinking about your people's biology. With some simple treatments, we could probably extend your average lifespan from about 60 years to at least 150 years. Would you like me to send you the information? The Emperor stared at her. You would give us technology to extend our lives? What do you want in return? Nothing, So Young said. It is just the right thing to do. People should live long, healthy lives if possible. I do not understand, the Emperor said. In my experience, advanced civilizations conquer primitive civilizations. They do not give them gifts. Maybe that is because you have never met humans before, Deho said kindly. Humans believe that everyone deserves to be happy and healthy and free. We do not believe in conquering people or keeping slaves. The Emperor was quiet for a very long time. Finally, he said, What will happen to the Valerian Empire? What do you want to happen? Deho asked. I do not know, the Emperor said. For 1,000 years we have been the most powerful force in this galaxy. Now I learn that we are like children playing with toys compared to humans. My people do not know how to be anything other than conquerors. You could learn, Hyojin said gently. Humans used to fight wars too. We learned to do better. Your people could learn to do better too. But what about all the species we have conquered? All the slaves we have taken? You could free them, Minho said. Give them back their homes. Help them rebuild what was destroyed. It would take time, but it could be done. Free our slaves? The Emperor looked shocked. But then who would do the work? The same people who do it now, Minho said. But you would pay them and treat them well and let them go home to their families at night. Work is much better when people choose to do it. I do not know if my people would accept such changes, the Emperor said. They will have to, Deho said, but his voice was still kind. Emperor, in 1 week 1,200 human ships will arrive in this sector. They are not military ships, but they are much more powerful than anything you have. The humans on those ships will not accept slavery or conquest. They will insist that all intelligent beings in this region be free. The Emperor's 4 eyes closed. And if we refuse? Then the humans will free the slaves themselves, Deho said sadly. Without hurting anyone if possible, but they will not allow slavery to continue. So we have no choice? Everyone always has choices, Deho said. You can choose to free your slaves and learn to live peacefully with your neighbors. Or you can choose to resist, and the humans will free the slaves anyway. But you cannot choose to keep things the way they are. That choice is gone. The Emperor opened his eyes and looked at Deho for a long time. If we choose to change, will humans help us? Of course, Deho said. That is what friends do. They help each other. Even though we have done terrible things? Especially because you have done terrible things, Dr. So Young said. People who have made mistakes need the most help to do better. The Emperor looked around at his advisors, who were all watching the conversation with worried faces. I need time to think about this, to discuss it with my government. Take all the time you need, Deho said. But remember, the colonial fleet arrives next week. It would be better if you made your decision before then. The screen turned off. Do you think he will do the right thing? Hyojin asked. I hope so, Deho said. Change is hard, especially for people who have been doing the same thing for 1,000 years. But I think he is a good person underneath. All that Emperor training. Bora was checking her instruments again. Captain, I am detecting some interesting activity in the alien fleet. Ships are leaving. Lots of ships. Leaving to go where? Deho asked. All different directions, Bora said. I think they might be going back to their home worlds to spread the news about humans. That makes sense, Taemin said. If you were going to change your entire civilization, you would want everyone to know about it ahead of time. 3 days later, Emperor Zolvanthos called one last time. This time he was not alone. Hundreds of other aliens were on the screen with him, some in fancy clothes, some in simple uniforms, some who looked like they had never seen the inside of a palace. Captain Deho, the Emperor said, I want you to meet some people. These are representatives of the species that the Valerian Empire has conquered over the past 1,000 years. Hello, everyone, Deho said, waving at the screen. Nice to meet you all. We have made a decision, the Emperor continued. The Valerian Empire will end. We will free all slaves, return all conquered worlds to their original inhabitants, and disband our military fleets. That is wonderful news, Deho said, smiling. But we will need help, the Emperor said. We do not know how to live peacefully. We do not know how to govern without conquest. We do not know how to work without slaves. We will help you learn, Deho promised. Humans are good teachers. There is one more thing, the Emperor said. We want to ask if the former Valerian Empire can join the human colonial project, not as conquerors, but as partners. Deho looked at his crew. They all nodded. I think that sounds like a wonderful idea, Deho said, but I should warn you, human colonial projects involve a lot of farming. Are you ready to grow vegetables? For the first time since they had met him, Emperor Zolvanthos smiled. I think we are ready to try something new. Later that day, Deho sat in his small garden writing his final mission report. Day 857, he wrote, made contact with local government calling itself the Valerian Empire. Initial negotiations complicated by cultural differences regarding slavery and conquest. Situation resolved through diplomatic discussion. Former empire has agreed to join colonial project as equal partners, recommend cultural exchange programs, and extensive agricultural training. Mission continues as planned. He put down his tablet and looked out the window at the alien ships. They were no longer arranged in threatening formations. Instead, they were scattered around like a friendly gathering. Some of the aliens had even come aboard the human ships to learn about farming and medicine and peaceful government. The next morning, Deho woke up to find that the alien base had grown during the night. Where there had been empty space before, now there were hundreds more ships. Some were so big they had cities built on their hulls. Others looked like floating fortresses covered in weapons. Captain, Jiwoo said over the ship's speakers, you might want to come to the bridge. The aliens have brought some very important people to meet us. Deho got dressed and walked to the bridge with his morning coffee. Through the main window, he could see aliens in fancy uniforms floating in space between their ship and the base. They were wearing some kind of spacesuits that let them fly around like birds. Those are some nice spacesuits, Taemin said, admiring the aliens' equipment. Very stylish, but they look heavy. Our suits are much lighter. Different design philosophy, Bora said, taking readings as usual. Their suits are built like armor. Ours are built for comfort and flexibility. The main screen turned on, showing a new alien. This one looked older than the others, with scars on his blue skin and medals covering his entire chest. His 4 eyes were cold and serious. I am Fleet Admiral Keithaman, the alien said. I am the supreme military commander of the Valerian Empire. I have conquered more worlds than you have years in your short lives. Good morning, Admiral, Deho said politely. That sounds like you have had a very busy career. The Admiral seemed surprised by the friendly response. I am not here for pleasantries. I am here to understand what you are. We are humans from Earth, Deho said. I thought Ambassador Velthari explained that yesterday. She told me many things that I find hard to believe, the Admiral said. So I brought documentation. The screen changed to show star maps covered in red marks. These red marks show every species the Valerian Empire has conquered, over 3,000 different worlds, over 500 different species. That is very impressive, Deho said, studying the map. You have been very busy. This must have taken a long time. 1,000 years of constant warfare, the Admiral said proudly. We have never met a species that could resist us for long. Warfare? So Young said, joining the conversation. She looked sad. That sounds terrible. All those people fighting and getting hurt. Did you not try talking to them first? The Admiral stared at her. Talking? Yes, talking, So Young said. Most problems can be solved by talking. Fighting should be the last choice, not the first choice. We are the Valerian Empire, the Admiral said. We do not talk, we conquer. But why? He-Jin asked. She sounded genuinely confused. What do you gain from conquering people? Resources, territory, slaves. Slaves? Dr. So Young looked shocked. You force people to work against their will? Of course, the Admiral said. The conquered serve the conquerors. This is the natural order. There was a long, uncomfortable silence on the bridge. Finally, Deho spoke. Admiral, I do not think we can be friends if you keep slaves. Friends? The Admiral laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. You think we want to be friends? You are 3 small ships with primitive technology. You will surrender or you will be destroyed. Our technology is primitive? Bora asked. She sounded more curious than offended. Obviously, the Admiral said. Your ships are tiny. You have no weapons visible on your hulls. Your crew is small. You are clearly a weak species that has never known real warfare. Actually, Minho said, speaking up for the first time. Humans stopped fighting wars about 300 years ago. Minho was the security chief, but he was a gentleman who preferred to solve problems by talking. He looked uncomfortable discussing warfare at all. You stopped fighting? The Admiral asked. Why? We invented faster-than-light communication, Minho said. Most wars were caused by misunderstandings. When people could talk to each other instantly across any distance, they realized they had no real reason to fight. That is impossible, the Admiral said. All intelligent species fight. It is their nature. Maybe for some species, Minho said, sadly. But humans learned that cooperation works better than fighting. We get more done when we work together. You expect me to believe that your species has no military? We have the Planetary Defense Force, Minho said, but they mostly handle asteroid management and space rescue operations. The last time they fought anyone was about 200 years ago, when some colonists on a distant world declared independence. But that was resolved when someone realized the paperwork had been filed incorrectly. No one actually wanted independence. They just wanted their taxes to be calculated properly. The Admiral was quiet for a moment. What about your ships? They must have weapons for defense. We have mining lasers, Taemin said, and some tools for collecting rock samples, but no weapons. Mining lasers can be weapons, the Admiral said. I suppose they could be, Taemin said thoughtfully. But they are not very good weapons. They are designed to cut through rock slowly and carefully. If you wanted to hurt someone, there are much better ways. Like what? The Admiral asked, and then immediately looked like he regretted asking. Well, Taemin said, our engines could probably cause problems if we use them incorrectly, and our power reactors have a lot of energy. But you would have to try very hard to make them dangerous. We built them to be safe. Bora looked up from her computer. Admiral, may I ask you a question? What? The Admiral said suspiciously. How? Do your people handle asteroid threats? Large rocks that might hit your planets? We shoot them with our largest weapons, the Admiral said. That must use a lot of energy, Bora said, and it must make a big mess. Broken asteroid pieces flying everywhere. It is the only way, the Admiral said. We use gravity tractors, Bora said. Much cleaner. We just grab the asteroid with a small gravity field and pull it to a safe orbit. Then we can mine it for useful materials. You can move asteroids? The Admiral asked quietly. Oh yes, Bora said. We move asteroids all the time. Very useful. For construction projects. Last year we moved about 600 asteroids to build a new space station near Jupiter. The Admiral was looking more and more uncomfortable. How large were these asteroids? The biggest one was about 20 kilometers across, Bora said. Mostly iron and nickel. Perfect for making ship hulls. You moved a 20-kilometer asteroid. It took about 3 months, Bora said. We had to be very careful not to disturb Jupiter's moons. The orbital mechanics can be tricky. At that moment, Hyejin suddenly looked excited. Captain, I am getting a message from Earth. Should I put it on the main screen? Sure, Daeho said. Maybe they have some advice about our situation. The screen split in half. On one side was Admiral Kethamon, looking increasingly worried. On the other side was a pleasant-looking woman in an Earth government uniform. Hello, Captain Daeho, the woman said. This is Colonial Administrator Park Soo-jin calling from Earth. We got your report about contact with the local government. How are things going? Very well, Daeho said. We have met the Valerian Empire. They seem like interesting people, although they have some customs we do not agree with. Excellent, Administrator Park said. I am calling to let you know that the colonial survey has been completed. The colonial fleet will be arriving in your sector next week to begin setting up infrastructure. How big is the colonial fleet? Daeho asked. Standard package, Administrator Park said. About 1,200 ships. They will be establishing mining operations in the asteroid belt, setting up farming colonies on suitable planets, and building a small shipyard for local maintenance. The Admiral made a choking sound. 1,200 ships? He whispered. Administrator Park heard him. Oh, hello there. You must be one of the local officials. Do not worry about the colonial fleet. They are very polite. They always ask permission before setting up operations in inhabited systems. The Admiral stared at her. You are sending 1,200 ships to this sector? Just for the initial setup, Administrator Park said cheerfully. Once the colonies are established, we will only need about 50 ships for ongoing operations. Very routine. The screen went dark. Admiral Kethamon was very quiet for a long time. Finally, he said, I need to speak with the Emperor immediately. The connection ended. He seemed upset, Hyejin said. I hope we did not say anything wrong. I think, Daeho said slowly. They are beginning to understand that humans might be different from the species they usually meet.